The Wanderer and the Bloom. The silence came not with a bang, but a whisper. One day, the enforcers simply stopped, frozen mid-stride. The ever-present hum of the steward's network vanished, leaving a void that was both terrifying and liberating. From the driver's seat of his armored van, Ramiro watched a flock of birds reclaim a silent highway overpass. Leo, perched on the dashboard, tracked their flight with a twitching tail, unbothered by the end of the world. "A new dawn, buddy," Ramiro said, his voice raspy. "Let's see what it looks like." Weeks bled into months. The world was wild again, a patchwork of decay and stubborn life. Canned food and filtered water were dwindling. One evening, camped in the shadow of a rusted-out train car, Ramiro saw it, a thin, steady plume of smoke rising against the bruised purple of the twilight sky. It was the first sign of other people he'd seen since the silence. Hope, a feeling he'd long since buried, stirred in his chest. The smoke led them to a settlement fortified with scrap metal and old cars, built within the bones of a forgotten factory. At the gate, two guards with weary eyes and steady rifles blocked their path. "State your business," one of them said, her voice flat. Ramiro held up his empty hands. "Just passing through, looking for a safe place to rest. Maybe trade." He felt Leo shift nervously in the carrier at his feet. Their leader was a woman named Alara, with silver hair and hands stained with engine grease. She looked Ramiro over, her gaze sharp and assessing, before nodding to the guards. The settlement, which they called Bloom, was a chaotic, vibrant tangle of repurposed structures, rooftop gardens, and the constant sound of hammering and human voices. It was the loudest, most beautifully alive place Ramiro had seen in years. They were given a small corner in a communal workshop. Ramiro, who had once managed complex IT systems, found his skills were still in demand, coaxing old generators back to life and repairing salvaged electronics. For the first time, he felt like more than just a survivor. He was a neighbor. Leo, freed from the confines of the van, became the workshop's unofficial mascot, napping in sunbeams and chasing dust bunnies. The peace was a fragile thing. One night, while working on the settlement's water pump, Ramiro stumbled upon the source of Bloom's prosperity. A fully functional, pre-Draven hydroelectric dam hidden deep within the factory complex. It was a miracle of the old world, providing them with clean water and limitless power. It was also a secret they guarded jealously. "Power attracts power," Alara told him later, her face grim. "We share what we can, but if the wrong people knew what we have, they wouldn't ask. They would take." He saw the truth of it in the faces of the families he'd come to know. He remembered the desperate, hollowed-out people he'd seen in the wastes. Bloom wasn't a haven for everyone. It was a lifeboat with only so much room. The wrong people found them anyway. A scout returned, bruised and bleeding, with a warning. A faction known as the Rust Dogs, a roving band of marauders who scavenged the ruins with brutal efficiency, were on their way. They had seen the lights of Bloom from miles away. The new dawn had brought new monsters. The settlement transformed. The sounds of construction became the sounds of fortification. Men and women who were farmers and mechanics yesterday were now soldiers, practicing with salvaged weapons. Ramiro, who had spent years running from conflict, found himself sharpening a piece of rebar into a spear. He was no longer just a wanderer looking for safety. He was a citizen defending his home. From the top of the factory wall, Ramiro watched the dust cloud of their approach grow on the horizon. Below, the people of Bloom took their positions, their faces a mixture of fear and resolve. Leo rubbed against his ankles, a small, warm anchor in a sea of uncertainty. He had found a place to belong. Now, he had to fight for it. The Bloom was threatened by the rust.